Good morning, everybody. It is coffee time, USA, Sunday, March 25th, 2018, here on the Rancho. Our traditional Sunday morning get together, talk about what happened,
Coffee time.
and what may happen. I'll tell you what, if you're going to park near our driveway, you better not be hanging into our driveway, right? First thing Missy Jen does every morning is go out there, take a look. If she suspects that you're hanging in our driveway, out comes the tape measure. I'm only kidding. I'll be saying it.
Out comes the caterpillar.
lift your thing up and dump it off to the side there. Let's just say Missy Jen is very protective.
Pushing it off into the ditch.
Jen, wouldn't you say that you're very protective of the rancho? You know, you're
I
like,
am very protective over it. I watch here and I watch over there. When somebody stands at the fence line and gawks in here too long, I go and question them. I want to see their ID. I want to know what they're gawking in here for, what their purpose is, who they are, where they live.
your security background is showing through in all ways and all days here. Anyway, guys, we hope you're having a nice Sunday morning. Another big hangouts last night. Thank you to everybody that came on. It's not always easy, as people have seen,
It was a glorious hangout.
to run hangouts and stuff, especially when you kill your own hangout. And last night's on the Rosie Murphy channel ended up being split into an A and a B because during the hangout, you know, when you're running it, there's a little red button that says stop broadcast, you know, and I guess I accidentally ran over it with the mouse and that was it. But we broke it into a part two. You know, you get on Saturday nights, Missy Jen, you got really big personalities that come into play. I mean, really big personalities. And sometimes it just gets a bit too wild out there. But that's what makes the hangouts wild and woolly and brings people in watching them because of the unpredictable element of that. But, you know, everything has limits to it.
That's right.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to understand that, you know, when people sit on a panel, they've gloriously discovered that they can remove other people from the panel and that kind of stuff. And that introduces a whole nother layer of skullduggery and subterfuge to the whole thing. But, you know, we love everybody that comes on the panels for sure. Missy Jen, you did your update this week on MS, and I don't think the right people will watch it, but I think a lot of people have a better understanding now of what you deal with on a daily basis. And,
right, and I want to thank everybody that has left their supportive comments. It's much appreciated, and there's been a great outpouring of love and support.
Yes, it was a
So
nice thing
thank
to
you
see.
very
And we
much.
had
Thank you so much.
we did have a visit to your neurologist down in San Francisco on Wednesday, which went quite well because I asked Jen's neurologist, you know, the idea of going to Florida or being able to winter in warm places, and he was very enthusiastic with his support of that idea. So that made me feel good inside, Jen. It you know, wouldn't, far from being detrimental, it could be beneficial to be in a warm, not a hot place, but
not a hot place.
Yeah.
I can't do hot.
Yeah.
If the humidity is in combination with humidity, I can't do that.
Yeah, which kind of narrows down to Florida or Hawaii. And Hawaii is something I thought in January with Line Screw One having looks like he's trying to put a meetup together over in Honolulu there. That it might be fun to take Missy Jen over for her first trip into Hawaii, because I think it's a state that everybody should see, as we talked about before. It's also a state that has some definitely some history to it, you know, with Pearl Harbor and the beauty and all that. And it's something that I think Missy Jen could really enjoy, and then analyze Florida, analyze you know, Hawaii possibly Arizona, take a little bit of closer look at southern Arizona. And then you kind of decide from there. Last week we asked your guys' advice about retiring, and overwhelmingly about buying a place in Florida. And overwhelmingly, the idea was don't buy anything.
Don't buy anything, and that's a great idea because you don't want to settle down on the one spot and then you're stuck there.
Yeah, because you
You
not
have
even.
never been. That's space that you can say, well, this year I don't feel like going there at all. I might this year just want to just go maybe like different places, like 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, or 4 weeks here, and like maybe we want to go to Louisiana and spend 4 weeks there.
Exactly. I think we're kind of reformulating that
and
idea
then go
now.
to Texas maybe and spend like 4 weeks in Texas, and then working our way back to California.
So I think we're kind of rejigging that whole idea. It's certainly not going to be a marathon like we ran, but taking 2 weeks to get across country is far different than taking 4 days to get across country. You can actually take time and really see some things. Although I don't feel like we really got cheated on the sites, I feel like we got cheated on our resting ability. Although Missy Jen arguably came out of it better than I did on the travel, but to be able, and then you're thinking about it, hey, why not use that first year to explore southern Arizona? To hang around Yuma a little bit, use that maybe for a week as a base to look around and explore and see how Southern California is. Southern Arizona, some of the resorts there. Then you talk about going into Texas and below San Antonio, Galveston, and down in those South Padre Island and those beautiful places to check them out. They're still very warm in wintertime. And
Palm Springs is a nice place.
Palm Springs is another place too. It's another nice place too. So there's a lot of things to check out, and being able to take more time. And we wanted to spend more time in Louisiana and explore there, and then move our way over to Florida. So we've kind of moved that idea from an initial run to Florida to walk. Take our time and figure out other stuff there too and see what we want to do. So you guys have been very helpful in that regard. And again, if any of you have a place that's available for rental, starting in, as we make our way across, if you're in Yuma, if you're Texas, places like that, Louisiana, preferably the Baton Rouge or the area there, we'd love to do maybe a week there and use that as a base of exploration, a week around southern Arizona, a week in Texas, and just hang out, chill out, and understand a little more about what the winter has to offer down there. I think it makes a lot more sense.
Right, and then gives us a little bit more time to go into Mexico, maybe just explore a little.
Yeah, and also when you get to Florida, to split it West Coast, which is the Gulf, and then East Coast to check the Atlantic side, and then maybe go down to Miami in the southern part of the state, so you have all three aspects of it that you can understand. 2 weeks or so in each particular area to really get a better feel, to split it up. So to me, it makes a lot more sense.
That's right.
So we want to thank you guys for that on this morning Sunday coffee time. We always learn much more from you guys because you've experienced a lot more. A lot of you are RVers. A lot of you travel quite extensively in wintertime. So we are very appreciative of the ideas and the good advice that you give us out there. It's very helpful, and it's beneficial. Anyway, another week is underway coming up. We are really in a reduction mode here right now, aren't we, Jan?
Yeah.
We have a lot of things that we're getting rid of here on the Rancho and really getting things streamlined. Because one of the worst things that you can have is a feeling like you're owned by things. You just have so many things that you have to worry about and take care of. And one of the things I determined to do in 2018 was to start reducing some of my commitment to the vintage audio units you see behind there, getting down to a smaller, more representative sort of sampling, and reducing the wall of sound a little bit and getting rid of some projects. And as we move into retirement, to have less of that flow coming in, Jen, of things that we have to temporarily store places till they get worked on and repaired and restored. So a lot of that also has to do with photography equipment and overabundance of photography equipment, because quite frankly, a lot of that, you can get very caught up in the cycle of thinking that this next piece of gear. Now, I was very honored to be inducted or included in, first time out with a documentary, to be included in the London International Film Festival. And although I did not win an award, it was still quite an honor to be one of the shortlist candidates for the award for short documentary. But you can get very caught up in gear, and you can think the next piece of gear is the thing that's going to really make your video, when in reality and when in fact, or your photograph, it's really your eye and your subject. A lot of people get caught up these massive telephoto lenses and stuff. But then you've come to realize, you'll see somebody at a conference, you'll hear somebody at a conference talking about, there's never been an award-winning picture taken with a telephoto lens. They're always rangefinder, big images and stuff, and it makes a lot of sense. We get so caught up in technology and thinking the latest and the greatest is going to get us better pictures that we don't concentrate enough on the subject matter and framing and very carefully doing photographs. One of the things that Instagram has allowed me to do is to very rarely put up a photograph on Instagram. But when I put it up, it's something that I think has a high degree of watchability, and it captivates your interest for a little bit, so that you have to study the image to kind of understand it. So this is one reason.
Taking pictures is a science in itself.
Yeah, and I think it's also an art too. You either got the eye for a photograph or you don't. Either something captures you, in which case you pull out a simple 25 millimeter rangefinder camera, and you take your picture and you have the image. People aren't going to get caught up on all of the technical aspects of the camera and all that. They're going to focus on the image. So it's a way of forcing myself to strip things down to basics. So you travel light. You have 2 or 3 pieces. You have one camera and you got a couple lenses, and that's it. And you have a cell phone and a cell phone camera, and that's it. And then you be creative or not with that. And it's been a good exercise for us. It opens up more storage here, and it gets things a little more streamlined, and it gets us to focus on the realities of what makes a good video, or what makes a good photograph. So it's one of the reasons I've done more things with the cell phone camera, Missy Jen. Now, the Samsung Galaxy 5 is not a great one. As you've seen, you need to have a selfie stick that has some isolation for sound. But again, it's learning a new way of doing videos that you can stream more of your life and get more things up quickly, as opposed to, as we said, taking hours and hours to edit and all that kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, at the margin, it doesn't really give you much more. And then you realize, well, people are just more interested in your life than the art. So share that. Something we plan on continuing to do. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks for being with us for our usual 15 minutes of coffee time. We love having you guys along. Another week underway. Lots of good stuff ahead. Thank you, everybody.